Rome's beginnings are deeply rooted in myth and legend, but archaeological evidence suggests that the city emerged as a cluster of small settlements along the Tiber River in the 8th century BCE. These settlements, inhabited by the Latins, were strategically located on hills overlooking the river, providing natural defense and access to trade routes. The area's fertile plains supported agriculture, allowing the early Romans to grow crops such as wheat, barley and olives. The early Romans were heavily influenced by neighbouring civilizations, particularly the Etruscans to the north and the Greeks to the south. The Etruscans, an advanced and culturally rich society, contributed significantly to the development of early Roman architecture, engineering and religion. From the Etruscans, the Romans adopted techniques for constructing roads, bridges and temples. They also borrowed religious practices, including the interpretation of omens and the use of augurs to divine the will of the gods. Greek colonies in southern Italy brought another layer of influence, introducing the Romans to their alphabet, artistic styles and philosophies. The Romans adapted the Greek alphabet, modifying it to create the Latin script. Greek pottery, sculpture and literature also left a lasting imprint on Roman culture, blending with the traditions inherited from the Etruscans and Latins. Rome's early government was monarchical and the city was ruled by a series of kings. The first king, Romulus, is said to have founded the city in 753 BCE. According to legend, Romulus and his twin brother Remus were the sons of the god Mars and a Vestal virgin. After being abandoned and raised by a she-wolf, the brothers quarrelled over where to build their city. Romulus ultimately killed Remus and became the first ruler of Rome, giving the city its name. The kings who succeeded Romulus established many of Rome's foundational institutions and traditions. Numa Pompilius, the second king, is credited with organizing Rome's religious practices and creating many of its priesthoods. He is said to have built the Temple of Janus, a structure whose doors were open in times of war and closed during peace. Tullus Hostilius, the third king, focused on military expansion and incorporated neighbouring tribes into Rome's population. Ancus Marcius, the fourth king, emphasized infrastructure and trade. He is believed to have built the first bridge across the Tiber River and established Rome's port at Ostia. The fifth king, Tarquinius Priscus, was an Etruscan who brought advanced engineering and cultural influences to Rome. He began constructing the Circus Maximus, a massive chariot racing stadium, and initiated the building of the city's defensive walls. Servius Tullius, the sixth king, introduced significant social and political reforms. He organized Roman society into classes based on wealth, creating a more structured and hierarchical system. He also expanded the city's boundaries and constructed the Servian Wall, a massive fortification that protected Rome from external threats. His reforms laid the groundwork for the Roman Republic's future political system. The last king, Tarquinius Superbus, or Tarquin the Proud, is remembered as a tyrant whose oppressive rule led to the monarchy's downfall. He ignored the Senate's advice, imposed heavy taxes, and used forced labour to complete his ambitious building projects, including the Temple of Jupiter on the Capitoline Hill. His actions alienated both the patrician elite and the plebeian population. The monarchy's end came in 509 BCE, when Tarquin's son, Sextus Tarquinius, committed an egregious crime by assaulting Lucretia, a noblewoman. Lucretia's subsequent suicide sparked outrage, leading to a rebellion led by Lucius Junius Brutus. The revolt resulted in the expulsion of the Tarquin family and the establishment of the Roman Republic. During the monarchy, Roman society was divided into two main classes, the patricians and the plebeians. The patricians were the wealthy elite, descended from the original families of Rome. They held significant power and dominated the Senate, the advisory council to the kings. The plebeians, meanwhile, were the common people, including farmers, artisans and labourers. They had little political influence and often struggled under the burden of taxes and forced labour. Religion played a central role in early Roman life, permeating every aspect of society. The Romans believed in a pantheon of gods and goddesses who controlled natural and human events. Rituals and ceremonies were performed to appease these deities and ensure their favour. The kings acted as high priests, reinforcing their authority through divine sanction. Festivals and public offerings were a regular part of Roman life, bringing the community together and fostering a shared cultural identity. Temples dedicated to gods such as Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva served as focal points for religious and civic activities. The influence of Etruscan and Greek religious practices can be seen in the design of these temples and the rituals performed within them. Rome's location along the Tiber River was crucial to its early development. The river provided a source of water for drinking and irrigation, as well as a means of transportation and trade. The surrounding hills offered natural defense against invaders, while the fertile plains supported agriculture. This combination of geographical advantages allowed Rome to grow and prosper. The construction of infrastructure such as roads, bridges and drainage systems further enhanced Rome's ability to expand and integrate neighbouring communities. The Cloaca Maxima, an extensive drainage system built during the monarchy, helped transform Rome from a swampy settlement into a thriving urban centre. This engineering marvel remains one of the oldest surviving examples of Roman infrastructure. The early kings also established the foundations of Roman law and governance. They created systems for resolving disputes, maintaining order, and managing resources. These systems were later refined and expanded during the Republic and Empire, but their origins can be traced back to the monarchy. Despite its successes, the monarchy faced significant challenges. Tensions between the patricians and the kings grew over time, particularly during the reign of the later Etruscan rulers. The patricians resented the king's increasing power and sought to limit their authority. This struggle for control would continue to shape Roman politics for centuries. The plebeians too had their grievances. They bore the brunt of the monarchy's demands, providing labour for public works and serving in the military. Their discontent laid the groundwork for future social conflicts, including the struggle for equal rights during the Republic. The transition from monarchy to republic marked a turning point in Roman history. With the expulsion of Tarquin the Proud, the Romans established a new system of government based on elected officials and shared power. This system, while far from perfect, allowed for greater participation and representation, particularly for the patrician class. The legacy of Rome's early kings can still be seen in the city's institutions, culture and infrastructure. Their achievements laid the foundation for a civilization that would grow to dominate the Mediterranean world and influence the course of history for centuries to come. While the monarchy ended in 509 BCE, its impact on Rome's development and identity cannot be overstated. In the centuries that followed, Rome built upon the foundations established during its monarchical period, evolving into a complex and powerful republic. The city's early experiences with kingship provided valuable lessons and a framework for governance that would shape its future as a dominant force in the ancient world. The agricultural techniques of early Rome were foundational to the city's survival and growth. Farmers utilized a system of crop rotation to maintain soil fertility, ensuring a steady food supply. Additionally, the Romans developed irrigation systems that allowed them to cultivate land farther from the Tiber River. These advancements not only sustained Rome's population but also enabled the city to support its expanding military and workforce. The early Roman military was rudimentary but effective for its time. The kings organized small disciplined armies composed primarily of citizen soldiers. These forces were used to defend Rome's borders and conquer nearby territories. Military success under kings like Tullus Hostilius and Ancus Marcius not only expanded Rome's influence, but also integrated new peoples into Roman society, laying the groundwork for the multicultural nature of the Republic and Empire. Trade played a vital role in Rome's early economy. The Tiber River served as a major trade route, connecting Rome to other settlements in Italy and beyond. Early Romans traded agricultural goods, pottery and metalwork with their neighbours. The port at Ostia, established by Ancus Marcius, became a hub for commercial activity, further integrating Rome into the broader Mediterranean economy. Education in early Rome was primarily informal and focused on practical skills. Children learned agricultural techniques, trade skills, and religious rituals from their families. Patrician children, however, often received additional instruction in areas like law, governance, and military strategy. This early emphasis on education contributed to the competence of Rome's future leaders and administrators. Cultural exchanges with the Etruscans and Greeks enriched Roman art and literature. Early Roman art was heavily influenced by Etruscan styles, particularly in sculpture and metalwork. Greek influence became more pronounced over time, especially in pottery and architecture. These cultural interactions not only diversified Roman artistic expression, but also helped to establish a shared Mediterranean identity. The Roman legal system began to take shape during the monarchy. While much of it was unwritten, early legal practices were based on tradition and precedent. The kings acted as judges, resolving disputes and ensuring justice. These early legal principles would later be codified and expanded during the Republic, forming the basis of Roman law, which influenced legal systems worldwide. Urban planning and architecture flourished under the early kings. The construction of public spaces, such as the Forum and temples, provided venues for civic and religious activities. The use of stone and other durable materials in building projects reflected the king's ambition to create a lasting legacy. These architectural innovations became hallmarks of Roman engineering. The role of women in early Rome, while limited by societal norms, was crucial in maintaining the family unit and religious practices. Women managed households, raised children, and participated in domestic religious rituals. Although excluded from political power, their contributions to family and society were indispensable in sustaining Rome's growth and stability. The concept of citizenship began to emerge during the monarchy. While initially limited to the patrician elite, the inclusion of conquered peoples and plebeians as citizens expanded the idea of what it meant to be Roman. This evolving notion of citizenship laid the foundation for Rome's inclusive policies during the Republic and Empire. Early Roman religious practices were deeply intertwined with the natural world. The Romans worshipped deities associated with rivers, forests, and agriculture, reflecting their dependence on the land. Festivals and rituals celebrated the changing seasons and agricultural cycles, reinforcing the community's connection to their environment and the gods. The transition from a loose confederation of settlements to a unified city under the monarchy required significant diplomatic skill. The early kings forged alliances with neighbouring tribes and integrated diverse communities into the Roman state. This diplomatic approach not only strengthened Rome's position, but also set a precedent for the inclusive policies of the Republic and Empire. The symbolic importance of the Tiber River in Roman culture cannot be overstated. Beyond its practical benefits, the river was seen as a divine entity and a source of inspiration. It featured prominently in Roman myths and legends, including the story of Romulus and Remus. The river's centrality to Roman life underscored its enduring significance throughout the city's history. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories and share your ideas for the next video in the comments.